if you guys were hired to be the campaign managers or strategists behind closed doors for DeSantis or Trump, what would be the top three, items you would be driving that the voters right now are most concerned about?
He wrote a book on this, so he's going to have a lot.
My book's going to be out in August.
This is the topic of his book.
The entire topic.
So I'll do an appetizer, and he can do the entree on this one. I think the border is an enormously important issue. All these things have to be messaged the right way, and people have to really understand why it matters, as well as just the constant, bringing this up and part of the national conversation. I think the border, the economy is always top three. So what could be done for the economy that would be better than what we've seen? And I really also think, as Ukraine is heating up, people that come forward and explain how we spent 20 years fighting in wars. I was, as a civilian CIA analyst, not a door kicker, but I was in a couple of those war zones, saw what was going on personally. The fact that it feels like we've almost forgotten the lessons of what are we doing here and what is the strategy this quickly with this Ukraine mission creep. It is 100% mission creep that we have. It's always incremental, so it feels like, but we're not, we don't have you. Well, actually, we do have U.S. troops there, as they've now come out and said.
What do you mean by mission creep? That it's just going to incrementally get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger of a thing?
Exactly.
So it's not like we're going to be pulling out anytime soon, like an Afghanistan situation. We're going to be doubling down. Is that what that means?
We are going to be supporting the Ukrainians against the Russians for years. This war will go on for years, and anybody who doubts that should remember that the war has been going on already since 2014, when they initially invaded the Donbass and then had the phony referendum in Crimea. It was a referendum, but it was at gunpoint, whatever. This has already been building for a long time. This issue is much more important to the Russians than it is to us. They will go to the mat on this one. There is no, Putin's under too much pressure. The guy who takes over after Putin, he's not going to want to give up Ukraine either, whoever that would be. So somebody who can say, I'm going to keep us out of a war. We're only going to war if someone's starting a war with us. I think that would be very powerful. And I think that's why Trump, by the way, in his recent Tucker interview, focused so much on that foreign policy piece. Secure the border. And then I know you said three. I'm sorry. Economy, we could all agree. And the other one would be crime. Crime is huge. Republicans are up 10, up 12, up 15, depending on the poll you see, against Democrats in crime, because they've basically decided to legalize crime as part of social justice initiatives and all kinds of crazy left-wing abolish the police ideology. So that's what we got.
So you mentioned DeSantis and Trump. Let me actually start with Biden. If Trump is the nominee, Joe Biden, my concern is, and I think it's true, Joe Biden's entire record won't matter because his entire campaign is going to be, I'm not Trump. And most of the time, elections are referendums on the incumbent. My concern is Trump versus Biden 24. The entire story is going to be Biden saying, I'm not Trump, and those suburban, college-educated white women who overwhelmingly abandoned Trump. I don't know how Trump gets them back. So if I were advising Trump, I would say your entire campaign has to be moms. Because how do you change what has occurred in the last 4 years? If I'm advising Trump, you need to be running a general election campaign starting now. And you have to appeal. How do you get those people back? That is the sole focus, because Buck and I have talked about this on the show. We certainly talk about it off air. It's the number one conversation. Let's presume 81 million people. Let's take the numbers that are out there. 81 million roughly voted for Biden. Obviously, rigged job, benefit of COVID, changing the rules, all those things. I don't want to have the debate, but 81 million, 75 million roughly for Trump. 156 million voters. How many of those people are willing to change their mind in 2024 if we have a rematch?
How many do you think, actually?
A million? Right? I don't think that. I think people are. This goes to the point on you're voting Democrats, red, redder, blue, bluer. I think people are so dug in. It's like trench warfare in politics. It's hard to get the lines to move at this point. So what do you have to do if you are Trump? To me, you have to convince all those women. And this is why the abortion thing, I think, is going to play in, because I think they'll just terrify you. You know, your daughter, she gets pregnant and she's 14. Trump's going to keep her from getting an abortion, right? Like they're going to go after these suburban college moms, and it's going to be a challenge.
So I have a slightly different pathway for Trump if he is, in fact, the nominee on the Republican side, just because I think what Clay is saying about the numbers is obviously true. I think Trump's ability to win back those voters is close to zero. So the
You
only
don't think he can flip the? You're saying
the soccer
suburban
moms, yeah, no chance.
They're checked out.
No chance. No chance. And I love Trump. I mean, I think he's a great guy. I mean, when I say that, I actually mean that on a more like personal level. I think he's a great guy. Really, Clay and I have spent a lot of time with him. I've actually known him and the family since I was a little kid in New York too. Not well, but I met him at different events and things.
He went to prom with Ivanka.
Brag
on
you can't
yourself.
do that here. It was junior prom.
Real
It was
story?
junior prom. It was like she was a friend. I can't believe he just blew me off.
It's kind of. I would brag
I can't
about
believe
prom
you
with
just-
Ivanka
No,
all the
buddy,
time.
that's
It's
the
one of
most
the
interesting
thing
It's
you've
like
said so
by
far.
far,
What are you
I
talking
agree.
about?
So it
You gotta
was-
give a shit
He's
about
got all
Afghanistan.
these opinions like CIA.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
You would know, you'd be like, he went to prom with Ivanka.
Looking at you in a whole different way.
So-
Here, I thought you were this big-headed dude that just talks politics. Now I know you got some game.
Yeah, it was no. There's no photo of it online. It was junior prom.
All right, it's prom.
Junior prom. Junior
You
year.
went with Ivanka. Let's
was
relax.
really-
Buck, you're doing your thing.
So yeah, I mean Jared's a very powerful man. Also, so,
By the way,
By
they're
the way,
down here in Miami.
If Jared is worried about who his girlfriend, who his wife
Yeah.
dated
At
when she was
15,
16. By the way, have you guys have you guys gone to your wives or girlfriends like high school reunions or college reunions? Have you guys been to any of those events?
No.
Oh. Well,
so
this is an experience.
To see who
When
they
you go
dated, you're
back-
saying?
Yes, that's.
I mean, I did have the LA Times reached out to me. I saw the DM somewhere on Facebook, and they were just like, "We've seen the photos of you and Ivanka at the Regis prom. Like, would you like to comment?" I didn't even respond. I was like, "What am I going to comment? Like, we were the 15-year-old kids. Like, there's like priests everywhere. I went to a Jesuit school. Like, I don't even understand what we're
I would
talking
have been
about."
like,
but
yes, but not on the
it,
record.
it was funny though because she's a total sweetheart and a really really nice. Always has been a really nice person. I didn't realize how much at the time it actually was the other girls who were there, because she was really big in the 16 magazine or whatever teen those kind of like fashion magazines for younger people.
Tiger Beat back in the day, man.
So she was taking photos with them for like I was just like there by myself talking to guys like, yeah, she's my friend. She came, she was not my girlfriend. I don't want to like overplay this, but anyway, she's a cool lady. So I've known the Trumps for a long time. Back to political analysis. But I think Trump's a great guy. I don't think he can win back those suburban moms. I think the way that he wins is white working class voters who, for example, voted for Obama twice and then flipped in 2016 in the key states. I think that's it.
You just got to win back the Rust Belt again.
100%.
Michigan,
He's got to
Ohio,
get
Iowa,
union
Pennsylvania.
guys with high school degrees from Wisconsin, Michigan to believe again and to show up for him. He does that. I think he can flip enough votes to do it. If he can do the suburban soccer mom thing, I mean, then he's definitely going to win.
What about DeSantis?
If I were advising DeSantis, so let's go back. This is the primary advice. I think DeSantis has to go balls to the wall. And I think he has to, they just announced that Fox News is going to have the first debate in August in Milwaukee. I think it's going to be on Rumble as well.
This August.
This August. It'll be the first debate. I think that DeSantis has to say on the stage, you lost to Joe Biden. You got your ass kicked by the worst president that any of us have ever lived through. He's a joke. You lost to him. Call out Trump directly. And he has to say, and if you're the nominee, you will lose to him again. And DeSantis has to say, not only will I not lose to him, I will kick his ass. So if you want a president who is a Republican, by the way, you could have me for 8 years instead of 4 with Trump. I think he has to go ball. You can't tiptoe up to it.
Wow.
And here's my thesis on that. If he says that to Trump, I think Trump being called a loser will be so furious about the fact that he gets called a loser that Trump will go back into they stole the election. This is why I lost. And I think that doesn't have the same resonance. And I think a lot of people want to win so badly. DeSantis's play is, I'm an electable version of Trump. I will be a more disciplined version of him. You saw the way that I responded to COVID. I didn't, defer to Dr. Anthony Fauci and everybody else as long as Trump did. I think he has to go right after him. Because here's what I'll say. Trump is way better in individual. Like if you had Trump and DeSantis in this room right now, or just to meet all your staff out there, I think people would be like, holy cow, Trump is amazing on the just grip and grin, the shake, the individual interaction. I don't think DeSantis has that same charisma.
Yeah, why would he? Trump's been an icon for 40 years, 50 years.
He spent his whole life.
DeSantis-
He spent his whole life
Exactly.
shaking hands and chatting with
His
people.
daughter went to a prom with our friend Buck over here. That's a big deal.
So I think,
true.
the Iowa and New Hampshire thing that will surprise people is Trump's really good going into McDonald's and like shaking hands and kissing babies. I'm not sure DeSantis is going to be, and that's a risky proposition for DeSantis, by the way, because if you go all in after Trump in 24 and he loses, how does that impact things in 28? Will people remember that and
For
be
DeSantis?
angry? Yeah.
Can you even think that? You got to go 6 years in the future?
But I think sometimes people don't.
You kind of got to go with what's right in front of your
they
face
don't
now.
go balls to the wall because they're worried about the future. If he wants to win, he has to like basically burn the ships behind him and say this is it.
So I think that it depends on the Trump approach to dealing with DeSantis once he gets in, which I think is likely to be, based on what we've seen so far, just total scorched earth. Although I do know some people who are in Trump world who are saying they're a little surprised that they're so used to Trump insults just crushing people, right? Like Little Marco and Low Energy Jeb and, go down the list, right? Crooked Hillary,
Yeah.
probably the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that one line might have won him the 2016 election. He's so good at that. But even ardent Trump supporters and voters, when he says Florida's always been great, Ron DeSantis didn't do a good job, they go, ooh, wait, no. Like that's not a thing, There are other things maybe you could say or criticize or go after him on, but saying that Ron wasn't good during COVID, some of that starts to feel like he's insulting the intelligence of the people who support him the most, and people like me who voted for him twice. You got to say things, they're going to hit each other, right? But it's got to be a clean fight in the sense that, I know it's going to be tough, but it's got to be a clean fight in the sense that it has to be based in some form of
So you guys are
reality.
part of the camp that you believe Trump doesn't beat Biden, but you believe DeSantis could beat Biden direct.
That's not. I think Trump, to go back to your point, if I were advising Trump, I would say start running the general election now. Because I think he minimizes himself when he goes after DeSantis. What I had hoped Trump was going to say in Mar-a-Lago right after he got indicted and had to appear for the arraignment, I wish he had said, it's time for all Republicans to come together. I won't say a single negative word about Ron DeSantis. I'm focused on Biden. He's the enemy.
Yeah, he elevates himself and he wins. That's the way I see it.
There's no chance he's going down that
No,
road.
but he should.
You know that.
I think that's
He should.
that's the way that
That's
he
true.
could win. My concern is, you guys watch Game of Thrones back in the day?
Yeah, like 10 years ago.
You didn't watch Game of Thrones? No. Oh, my God.
He's watched one show, House of Cards. That was it, right?
That's it.
Game of Thrones. So Game of Thrones, we've talked about this on the show, you have trial by combat. The benefit that Republicans have right now is who your combatant is. In theory, it's Joe Biden. He's a shitty fighter. He should get his ass kicked. My concern is if Democrats can pick their opponent, they're trying to put Trump in the ring against Biden because they think they can beat Trump. And so Trump has to be more sophisticated than he was in 16 and 20 to win. And I feel like so many people, to Buck's point, have a preconceived conclusion of Trump. I think DeSantis would smoke Joe Biden.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.